Wow. Wonderful news, though it's left me feeling very emotional. This has been a 17-year journey. Those of you who followed Bealtaine Cottage will know that for all of that time I had a mortgage, and I got a letter today from the bank to say that my mortgage is now paid, that Bealtaine Cottage is now free from any ownership by the banks. I don't know where the 17 years have gone, and I don't know how I've managed to pay that flipping mortgage, because there were months when I really was like, you know, so many euros short. I was popping them into a jar to pay each month. And I know I'm crying, but I'm actually very, very happy that this has finally been concluded, and that Bealtaine Cottage is now going to move forward. I'm going to try to set up some kind of a trust that I can put all of this into to secure it. But I am very happy, and I just wanted to share that with you. I wasn't expecting this until next year. It's really amazing. It's amazing because I had this crazy, crazy dream at the very beginning, you know, and I didn't have the money to buy this place. I had a little tiny bit left over from the big mortgage I had in London, you know, because I had a little house in London with a huge mortgage, and I sold that, and I had a tiny bit left over, not enough to, you know, buy this place. It was 78,000 euros, which was a lot of money, and I had to go to the bank and borrow a good big chunk of that, and I borrowed 50,000 euros, and it's taken me 17 years to pay that back. And I remember when I went to the bank to borrow that money, I told a few fibs in order to get it, and I had no idea how I was going to pay it back, because I told a fib that I did have a job, and at that point actually I didn't. I had already handed in my resignation. And for the first few years I was going backwards and forwards to London, you know, in between planting trees and doing this little place up. And I was working and sleeping on the floor of my sister's house, and you know, working to make the money. And I never knew from one month to the next if I would have enough money to pay that mortgage. But I never missed one payment, because I knew how dangerous that would be, to miss a payment to the bank. And it's paid. It's friggin' well paid. There you are, Jack. Come on. You're very welcome to Bealtaine Cottage. And this is Wednesday, so we're just past midsummer. It's a beautiful day in that there's lots of cloud. There's been a little bit of rain. It's dry. It's perfect just for showing you around some parts of Bealtaine Cottage in this post-midsummer glory. Should we go? Come on. Come on, Jack. Good boy. Good boy. Beautiful wild roses. The Rosa canina grows all the way up through this edge, and the scent is just heavenly. It's going up through the trees there, right up there at the top, and then all the way down to meet the red valerian on the edge of the drive. Did someone say peas? Lots of beautiful peas coming out. And roses. This just shows you the abundance in my homemade compost, because in there I had planted Photinia, remember? Red robin. And I used my homemade compost, and of course this huge surge of growth has come up through the compost. Much of it, these beautiful poppies. But there are other plants as well. And lots of so-called weeds. I say so-called because they're just plants that I don't have any use for at this point in time. Just amazing. All the life. Lots of clearing here in the tunnel as I'm getting ready for this documentary that's going to be made about Bealtaine Cottage. The young filmmaker James McGrillis is coming down from Belfast next week. I think it's Wednesday, and it's going to be here for a couple of days. So I've got masses of work to do just to kind of get this ready for a film to be shot, because obviously in order for any filming to take place, the filmmaker has got to be able to access all areas. And this area had become totally closed up. So working away, getting things ready, preparing. Yeah. So lots of trimming back on the paths as well, that's got to be done. You can see, just even on this little path going up by the polytunnel, how overcome with growth and abundance it's become, which usually is fine. But again, when you're making a film, you need to be able to access everywhere. So it's going to take me at least a few days going along all the paths and getting them ready. This is post-midsummer, when there's just so much growth, so much abundance. It's very joyful. I can feel the joy coming up from the earth. I can feel it coming up through my body. It's quite amazing. The growth of the past month, maybe 3 weeks only, has been absolutely stunning. It's been amazing. There's been so much just has bounced back into life. Buddleia that I thought was dead and gone has just flourished. And everything you see here behind me, and in the hedgerows, and the beautiful wild roses that I'm showing you, just crazy, crazy growth. I was both surprised and delighted to see that a video I made a couple of weeks ago, the one about, I think it was called 19 Ways to Create a Garden with No Money, something like that. It's reached 100,000 views. It's a little bit crazy, I know. But, oh, the scent from these. Wow. I don't know the name of this bush, but it does grow very well from cuttings. This is one of the things that I really love about allowing the abundance just to flow. So here we have a birch tree that I planted, fuchsia that's growing alongside it, in fact it's growing up through it, and then what's growing up through the birch tree is wild honeysuckle, woodbine, and you can see where it's coming from, just coming here by the side of the fence. It's growing up through the birch tree. You couldn't plan it like that. Well, you know, you could have hopes of planning it like that, but it does go to prove that the most supreme gardener is Mother Earth herself. Amazing beauty. The Cotoneaster down here near the gate, again, just lots and lots of blossom. Amazing growth and everything. Even the dogwood there behind the gate. It's in relative shade and it is variegated, but it's grown right up through the trees. And here's another form of Cotoneaster. All the flowers have been pollinated and so there's little berries forming, you see? And that's growing right up through this tree. rowan tree there. And the videos that I make, they're not scripted, they're not pre-planned or pre-thought out. They're absolutely from the heart. I don't really do much editing. I mean, I edit in terms of I put all the clips together, but I don't go through the clips, cutting bits out. So I have to be true to myself, I suppose. That's the message. But there are lots of things that I do feel cross about, and I step out onto the land and then it just all seems to diminish, you know. Little oak tree, balanced precariously on the edge of the driveway. I'm sure it'll be fine though. I suppose at some point it'll be impossible for cars to get up here. People will just have to walk. It's what they did for thousands of years. Ah, look. Lots and lots of blossom out on the Cotoneaster. Though the pond has become completely obscured now. And the little stream, because of the drought, it's still there, but it's not flowing much. I think there's a bit of a trickle. Yeah, possibly a little trickle. Oh yes, I can see it now. Just down there, look, further down. So it's trickling away. You get an idea of how much work now I have to be cracking on with. The first fuchsia flowers are out. Now, you know, I get a lot of people saying, "Oh, Colette, I love your rants. Give us a rant." I've got to be honest and say, at this time of the year especially, with all this energy coming up from the earth, it's such joyful energy that even the things I get cross about seem to become almost irrelevant. People often ask me, how did Bealtaine Cottage look at the very beginning? Well, this was a photograph taken on the very first day that I saw it. But what I was looking at wasn't what you see here. I already had a vision in my head of how it would look. This was the driveway up to the cottage. You can see how bereft it is. And this was at late April, early May. Sad and all alone, abandoned almost. But not for long. Because magic happens when you start to work with Mother Earth. Did you know that? You unleash the magic by planting. You can support Bealtaine Cottage and the work I do across social media by buying any one of my books. That's the first one, A Cottage in 3 Acres. That tells the story of how Bealtaine Cottage came into being. There are books, maps, a calendar printed each year and bumper stickers, and the link to purchasing any of these can be found below every video. All are printed here in Ireland in my local town, and all are posted from Ireland in my local post office.